that were in Mexico found out that they could entrench themselves and have a better position was one way that they could look at it. My strategy was to go find out where General Lee was, to go after him as quick as possible and as often as possible. And in the process, I did have a lot of losses because of that. And with that, I know that he made reference to our industrialization. He also didn't point out that he also tried to have the French and get their supplies from the French also to help them in their battle. Cotton was another factor that would have to be considered into it, because before the war, gentlemen of the South would treat themselves and say, "Cotton is king," and that was one phrase that would always come up. They also felt that the cotton, that England would also side with them because they were supplying it, and they actually stopped the transport over there. But actually what was happening was the people in England were making money hand over fist in these meals because cotton had been sent so much, they had stockpiles of it. So there was several factors that would be affecting into it, but my positioning of troops around it, he had the high ground because he knew the area on my first encounter with him, and it was the wilderness campaign. Now, I did lose a high casualty rate there, and on the first night I did go in my tent and cry, which nobody was supposed to know about, but then my sobs were heard by some people because I had lost so many. But yes, it is a part of the attrition, but it was also moving the troops around. His troops we did have more of, and he had to spread them out farther apart. He also made tactical errors when he was trying to preserve just Richmond as a city itself, because that was an objective of ours, so we were after him.
But what about your role in the defense of Washington? Weren't you obsessed by defending Washington against an onslaught from the Confederates?
Yes, because that was our capital. But the capital of the South had been moved to Richmond, because it was originally farther south, and they moved it up there. And I think a lot of that, the reason it was moved was because there were so many founding fathers from Virginia.
Do you think this was a fallacious military doctrine on both sides, that it was a war over localities like Richmond and Washington, General Grant, rather than the destruction of the enemy army?
Yes, it was. Our battles that we waged, they really should never have taken place. I mean, I always regret Cold Harbor because I had such high casualties. So, and General Lee always wishes to tell how the average height of a person is and how much casualties we had. General Lee, is it 52,000 that we had that you want to tell how far it reaches?
My sources told me that from May the 3rd until June the 3rd, through June the 3rd,